us now is Joe Hari, the Bridging Dialogues founder, and Allison Edwards, the CEO of the nonprofit Groundswell. Thank you both so much for being with us this morning.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
You know, watching this, I have hope because I think a lot of us have lost hope that we can actually have these type of dialogues anymore. So to see this, Joe, you know, what prompted you to want to start this, and where are you seeing the success?
Yeah, for me, the seed was planted in 2016 with that election. And at that point, I already started feeling the polarization that was pulling us apart. And so a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity, just life circumstances, where I could fully pursue this calling. And so it's been very exciting because it's really, as you said, hope. It's given me hope. It's changed a number of participants, their lives. But more than anything, it's also changed my life, because as you're doing this, as you're listening to people dialogue and make the connection, it feels like every time there's a small miracle that's happening in front of us. And we're having these conversations. And it doesn't have to be, it's not rocket science. In some ways it's harder. But it's very doable.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Allison, watching that conversation, to me, what stands out is that they have to speak in person with someone with a differing opinion. And it seems in many communities, you're talking to people with the same views over and over. So the people who have differing opinions are like aliens, right? They're not real humans to you. Is that part of the key here?
Absolutely. I think humanizing one another is a huge part of this. And getting past people's assumptions and fears. In fact, we even ask them to look inside themselves in their own group to say, well, you know, are there kernels of truth about some of these things? But when you hear people's stories, it's just such a different way to understand their views. And I think it gets people past this fear of one another.
But how do we do that when most of our conversations like this are happening online?
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's really challenging. I know Joe can tell you there's some specific skills we use in the dialogue to actually make sure that it's a productive form of conflict.
Well, tell us some of those so we can have some of these conversations. I think this could be helpful to us in our families, our friends, our real lives.
100%. So there's an acronym that we use, LAP. So listening, acknowledging, pivot, and perspective. So listening is where you truly actively listen. So if you're already making an argument on how you're going to respond, you're not actively listening. So you just truly listen. Second is acknowledging that you really hear what the other person is saying, the emotion that they're feeling. You may not agree with what they're saying, but their humanity you connect with. The pivot is where you pause and you assess, is it okay for me to present my perspective? It may not be. That might be the end. Perspective is where you look deeper. You go under. You look at the values and concerns, not just the candidates and the politics and the policy, but you really see, like, what are their concerns, what are their values, and that's where we make the connection. And what the beautiful irony is that when you do that, when you really listen with no agenda, and you offer your perspective, that's when people really listen to you. That's when, if you go in there blazing, saying, this is what I want them to believe or change their views, you're not going to get any success. But if you're truly listening and open, it happens.
This is the same model as couples therapy.
Well, all of America needs couples therapy.
I think they do. But I feel my fear is that we've become a society that can't hold two ideas at the same time. And do you find that, you know, it's a lot of black and white thinking out there, and you're getting them to a world of gray in some ways?
It is, and it happens very quickly. So we're together for a few hours. By the end, we're talking about issues that are really polarizing otherwise, but we're talking in a respectful way, and people leave feeling like, wow, we may not agree on a lot of things, but on the most important things, we share in common.
Absolutely. And so, Allison, I think another part of this conversation I've heard a lot online, everybody agrees, nobody can get along, no one can have conversations. People will often say, oh, well, you need to respect my opposing opinion. But sometimes the opposing opinion is racist, anti-Semitic. It's dangerous rhetoric. How do we work that into the conversation? That why would I have to agree with someone who's denying my humanity?
Right. Yeah. And I think we always want to start out by saying listening is not about agreement. There is no expectation that you come to agree with something that, I mean, frankly, just is against your own views, but it's really more about seeking to understand. And I think we should also be clear that this is not suitable for every situation. Right? We have people that are coming into this process because they're hopeful, they have a belief that they can find something in common, and they truly need to come in good faith.
So they're probably not on the extremes, is what you're...
Probably not. Some may be. I mean, we actually don't make people, identify that way. But, to be clear, if someone is not willing to humanize another person in the room, this is not the process for them.
Okay, yes, I guess that's what I was
Right.
asking.
So you've got to be willing to bridge. You've got to be willing to say, I am going to try to understand where you're coming from, even if we're never going to reach agreement.
Okay.
And I will add that it isn't just people who are close to the center. And there are people who are solidly conservative and solidly liberal. And there are, disagreements. But again, the core values is what we find over and over, that we share a lot more in common than we realize.
Yeah, I think what you guys are doing is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
I think you should take it to every street corner in America. So maybe we'll make that adventure. Joe and Allison, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. We have more information on the group on kcalnews.com. We found out about them at our Coffee with KCAL event. It's become a great way to get into communities and hear your ideas, just like this one.